In this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 things that you can do before the end of 2022 to get your business positioned for success in 2023. Now, being an entrepreneur is hard. It is really hard. Like, drink a lot of coffee, hard. And to be successful as an entrepreneur, you can't just meander through your days hoping that things are going to work out the right way. You have to do a little bit of planning, like figuring out where to put this camera because it just doesn't seem right to me. You need to develop a plan, and then you need to work that plan until you hit success. And sometimes this takes a few months, and sometimes this takes a few years, and sometimes this takes a lot longer than that. But if you're doing this right, you are likely setting daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly goals for what you want to accomplish in your business. But even with those quarterly goals, let's say, in place, there are still some things that you need to pay extra special attention to at the end of each calendar year. And that, my friends, is what this video is all about. Hi, if you're new to the channel, my name is Jim, and I'm the founding attorney of the trademark law firm Hawthorn Law. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 things that you should be thinking about this month so that you can set your business up for success in 2023. Let's jump right into it. Now, most of you have probably been watching my videos for some time. Some of you might be brand new to the channel, but I do talk at great length about the benefits of filing for an S corporation. And if you are an S corporation, then the first thing that you need to be aware of as we move forward toward the end of the year is that you need to make sure that you've paid yourself an appropriate salary. Now, under the IRS guidelines, this is what's called a reasonable salary. And if you are an S corporation, then you need to make sure that you do that before the end of the year. So now is the time where you should be looking at your profit and loss statements for from the beginning of the year through the end of November and kind of calculating what you think your profit is going to be for this year. Look at how much you've already paid yourself as a salary. If you have not paid yourself anything as a salary, then you need to kind of be talking to your accountant or your tax lawyer and figuring out what is an appropriate amount of money that you need to pay yourself on your year-end payroll. And really the way this works, a lot of people get very confused by this is a payroll where you're not actually paying yourself money. You're really just running a payroll to make sure that you're withholding enough taxes for the salary that you should have paid yourself for the year. So if you might be running a payroll for $50,000, but really what you're doing is you're only withholding the taxes on that $50,000 at the state, the federal level, Medicare, those type of things, to make sure that you've paid in enough into the system. So if the IRS were to look at your business or audit your business, then they can say, oh yeah, this person did actually pay themselves a reasonable salary. Now, I'm not suggesting that $50,000 is what you need to pay. For some people, $50,000 might be high. For other people, $50,000 might be low. It really just depends on your business. What we typically recommend is somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30% of your net profit should go towards your salary for your business. This is, and honestly, where I got this number from is years ago, my accountant told me that that's what I should be paying myself. Whether that's right or not, it's really going to depend on you and your business. And like I said, you probably should be talking to your accountant or a tax lawyer to make sure that you're getting this number right and making sure that you're paying yourself a reasonable salary if you are an S corporation. Now, if you're not an S corporation, then what you need to be doing is marking the deadline on your calendar for March 15th of next year, because that's the deadline to form your S corporation if you would like to do that for the year 2023. So the second thing that you should be doing this month is you should be reviewing your quarterly and annual goals for this quarter, fourth quarter of 2022, as well as for the year 2022 to see where you are. What did you do well this year? What did you do well this quarter? What could you have done better this quarter and this year? These are things that you want to be looking at. You want to be looking at, are you hitting the numbers that you meant to hit for the year? Now, if you're watching this and you're saying, well, that sounds great, but I actually don't have any goals for the quarter. I didn't set any goals for the year. Then maybe it's time that you should invest in some coaching for your business. And this is a great time to do it because anything that you invest into coaching this year is going to be a tax write-off for 2022. So it's going to save you a bit of change on your taxes. And I would recommend that you consider joining OB Foundations. This is my membership community where we help you to start, build, grow, and of course, legally protect your online business. We also do monthly coaching calls in that program, and I'll include a link in the description below if you would like to check that out. Before we go any further, I think it's time to take a sip of coffee. And this is actually kind of funny today because my birthday was last weekend and my wife got me, knowing how much I love coffee mugs and knowing that we need coffee mugs for the house, she got me a couple coffee mugs. They're pretty bland and they're actually quite large, which is funny because we drink little bitty coffees here in Portugal, but it still holds water, so to speak. And so I'm going to take a little sip of my coffee out of my new coffee mug. Tastes just as good. So the third thing you want to be doing as we move towards the end of the year is you need to be reviewing your contracts. And by contracts, I mean like all your contracts. So we're talking your privacy policy, your website terms of service, your website terms of sale, any contracts you have with vendors or independent contractors, any contracts you have with coaches or outside vendors that you might be using, such as marketing consultants or advertising consultants or people that are helping you with your like Facebook ads, for example. Anything like that. You want to take a look at these contracts and you want to make sure that if you made any changes to your business during the year, like you changed the name of your LLC or you started a new LLC or you dissolved another LLC or you did something like that with regards to the legal entity that's operating your business. If you made any of those changes, then you want to make sure those changes are reflected in your contracts. If you have a client contract that you use with individual clients that work with you, you want to review that contract. Make sure your rates are up to date. Make sure now's the time if you decide that you want to up your rates for next year, then you might have a clause in your contract that says that you can periodically do this from time to time. Maybe this is time to give your clients notice, letting them know that your rates are going to be going up if that's something that you decide you want to do. If you have any contracts that you might want to terminate next year, you need to make sure that you're paying attention to any notice provisions in those contracts and calendaring the dates when you need to give notice to the other party to that contract that you might want to cancel those contracts. So these are all things that you should be looking at, and I would, if you don't already have an inventory of all your contracts, you want to make sure you have some sort of Excel spreadsheet or document that kind of lays out all the different contracts you have in your business, when you entered those contracts, who the parties are, what are the important dates relative to those contracts, and when they expire or payments that are due or things like that. You want to make sure you have all that in one single spot, and this is a great time to set aside some hours in your week to go through those contracts and make sure that you have them all on the up and up. And then the other thing I will say is if you have questions about those contracts and you want to talk to a lawyer about the impact of those contracts or whether they should be updated, then feel free. You can schedule a legal strategy call with me. I'll include a link down in the description below, and I'm happy to talk with you about what you're doing in terms of your overall contract structures. Now, kind of along those lines, the number 4 thing that you really should be doing before the end of the year is looking ahead to 2023 and looking forward to potential deadlines that are coming up for things that you need to deal with in the coming year. And so the first one we've already mentioned earlier is the S corporation. If you've decided that maybe you want to form an S corporation, maybe not this year, but maybe you want to form one next year, then the deadline to do that is March 15th. You want to look at your LLC and check with your state to see what the deadline is to file an annual report. Look to see, make sure you filed your annual report for this year. If you didn't file it for this year, you need to make sure you do that as soon as possible. And moving forward into next year, you should look to see what the deadline is to do that. For some states, it's every year. For some states, it's 12 months from when you filed your LLC. For some states, it's every other year. Some states don't have an annual reporting requirement at all. So you want to check and make sure you've got that deadline on your calendar. Obviously, you want to pay attention to taxes, quarterly tax payments, and making sure that you are meeting all of those deadlines. If you're thinking about contributing to a retirement account, this is a great time to do that. If you've got a solo 401k, you need to establish that plan and form that solo 401k by the time that you run your last payroll for the year. So basically by the end of this month, you're going to need to contribute to that. If you have a SEP IRA, then the deadline to contribute to that is all the way up until you file your tax return for your business next year. So you have until potentially April or even September or October of next year. Let's see, I think it's September of next year if you file an extension for your business tax return to make those contributions to your SEP IRA and still get a deduction on your taxes for 2022. These retirement plan contributions are substantial, so you definitely want to make sure you're taking advantage of that. And then, of course, any important contractual dates, we already talked about this, you want to make sure you get those on your calendar now for next year. I hate when the battery dies like right in the middle of recording. That's like really annoying. And if we didn't have more plugs here in Portugal, there's not very many plugs in the room. And every outlet here in Portugal is interesting, is only like one plug. So you need a lot of extension cords. Anyway, the last thing that you want to pay attention to before the end of the year is you want to look at prepaying some of your expenses for 2023. And this actually, if you have some extra cash sitting around, you don't know what else to do with it, this is a great way to save some money on your taxes. So some of the things that you might want to prepay: if you have office space for rent, you can prepay that rent. If you have utilities for your office, you can prepay those. Now is a great time to upgrade furniture or even equipment. For example, I've been sitting in like a kitchen table chair for the past couple months, and which is one of the reasons why I'm recording in our living room, because my back just can't hack it anymore. So I actually went ahead and ordered an office chair yesterday that should be coming, I don't know when. Amazon here takes a little bit longer than it does in the States. So that is an expense that I'm incurring this year to help save some money on taxes. You know, if you have an iPhone, like if we didn't live in Portugal, I probably would be buying a new iPhone this year before the end of the year. But since we do live in Portugal, I'm going to wait until I go back to the States. They're a little bit cheaper in the United States. And so I'm going to wait until I go back in May and then purchase a new iPhone when I'm back in the States. But that would be something, if you need a new computer, now is a great time to purchase a new computer for your business to upgrade that. If you need cameras for your YouTube channel, or if you need a microphone for videos, these are all great things to invest in now before the end of the year, and also make great Christmas presents. So if you have someone in your family that owns their own business and you want to help them out and invest in some of these things, then not only are you getting them something nice for Christmas, but it also could be a potential write-off. So you can save a lot of money on your taxes for 2022, and that's a big thing. So in the coming weeks, I'm going to be doing my year-end goal planning video for 2023. If you'd like to see what I did for 2022, and I'll probably also be reviewing this video to see how I actually did with my goals. I'm a little nervous about that. It was a weird year. Check out this video right here and you can see what my goals were for 2022. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.